What's up guys, I'm back with another video and today I'm going to show you a continuation from last video, which will be how to make your users be able to actually purchase the shop items that you created. The last video was going over the admin command so that you can create shop items freely from Discord just by providing a title and a price. Now in this video, I'll show you how you can populate those items so your users can actually see what items are for sale, and then they can buy those items and track their own inventory, showing them what items they have. Before we get started, make sure you go over and go to evenmorecode.com if you would like to purchase the source code from this video or any of my past videos. I have them all there, along with a link to join the community Discord where you can always get help and subscribe to the channel. So let's get started here and let's go over to the code. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to want to make a command so that your users are able to shop for the items. In that command, I'm going to go into the commands folder, into the economy subfolder, and I'm going to create a new command called shop. So in the last video, you saw we made manage shop, but in this video, I'm going to make shop. So manage shop is for admins only. Shop will be the simpler of the two commands, and this one will be able to allow your users to buy any item they want. First things first, we got to do the usual suspects. So we'll say const / command builder. So / command builder equals require, and of course this will be imported from Discord.js. Then we will, from Discord.js, then we will start the command. So we'll say module exports equals data new / command builder. And then we're going to set the name of this command. So set name. We're going to say shop. Then we're going to set the description of this command. It's going to say select an item. This is going to say shop for any items. Then we're going to add a string option. So add string option. We're going to take the option. We will say option.setName. The name of this will be item. You can of course call us whatever, but this will just be the selection for the item that they'll have. I'm going to say, let me drop this down. I'm going to say set description. This will be just select an item. And how are we going to populate this item select, right? So the way I would like to do it and the way I wanted to do it was to give them the options that we created as an admin. But that's a little tricky because we need to constantly update this list of items so that the user will only see the items that we have created, right? So the way I came about this is we're going to use autocomplete. So we're going to say set autocomplete, and autocomplete will set to true, and then we'll set this to be required as well. And so how autocomplete works is we'll give it a pre-filled list of items that they can choose from. It's kind of like making string options, except we're going to be going based off what they're typing. It's really not that complicated, but let's just finish this command and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So async execute, take in interaction, take in user data, and then that's about it. So let's just defer the reply. So await interaction.defer reply. And then for now, let's just do await interaction.edit reply. And I'll just say hello. We're going to have to go over to our index.js and we're going to have to make something called an autocomplete handler. You can add this in a separate folder, but go wherever you have your command handler. In our index.js, we have a command handler and we also have a context handler, context menu handler. Right below the context menu handler and right above the client.once, which sends a message once our bot is up. Right below this, we're going to do a new command handler. So I'll add a note here just to make sure you guys know in your code that this is what this is. So we'll say autocomplete handler. And we'll say client.on events.interaction create. And then we'll do a async function. So async interaction, arrow function. If this is not an interaction dot is autocomplete. So if this is not an autocomplete interaction, then just return. Otherwise, if it is, then we will proceed as usual. So you might want to do different autocomplete logic for different commands down the line. This is obviously going to be our first one, at least in this series, it's going to be our first one. So I'm going to add another if condition here. I'm going to say if this interaction dot command name is shop. So I only want to apply this logic if they are running the shop command and doing an autocomplete. So first things first, we want to get the value of what they have currently typed in. And the way we can do that is we can say const focus value equals interaction.options.getFocused. So this will be the input of what they have currently typed. Then what we're going to want to do, we're going to want to get all the shop items, get all shop items. We're then going to want to filter out shop items based on input, which is the focused value. And then we're going to want to return a list of the items that match, right? So that's basically the logic we want to implement. So let's do the first part. So first, let's get all the shop items. As you guys may remember, we have this DB folder, which has the shop helper and user helper. I'm going to make a new command in shop helper. I'm going to do it right below this deactivate shop item. And I'm going to call this async function get all shop items. And I just want to get a list of all the shop items that we have created as an admin. So I'll just say const items equals await shop item dot find, and we're going to want to get all the items that are active. So active set to true, and then we'll return the items just like that. So let's export this function, get all shop items, and let's go back to index.js. Let's go to the very top of index.js and let's import this import this function. So we'll say const get all shop items, get all shop items. This will be from db/shop helper. Right where we wrote the comment get all the shop items, we can get the shop items by calling that function. So we can say let items equals await get all shop items. So then what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to filter these items based on what they added as their input. So we're going to say items equals items.filter. We're going to take every item, call it I. We're going to say if there's no focused value, or so this is the condition of if we want to keep this value in the array. So if there's no focused value, then add all the items. Otherwise, we want to do a comparison check on the title of the item. So we'll say I.title.to lowercase. Just we want to make it case insensitive. If this title includes the substring focused value .to lowercase, we'll also to lowercase this one, then include it. Or if there's no focus value, then always include it. So then this will filter out the items based on what they're typing. And then we can add these as choices to the input. So I guess I was supposed to put that underneath this comment. So filter out shop items based on input. So that's what we did here. And then the last thing we got to do is return the list of items that match. So let's format these into choices. So I'll say const choices equals items.map, and we'll take every I as item again. So we're then going to return an object, and an object will have a name key and a value key. The name key will be what the user sees as the option in Discord. The value will be the I.title, which is the item title, and that is the unique property of each item. We're kind of using that as an ID. The name property will be what the user sees. So we can do $! item title. So you could leave it there, but I also want to show them the price when they're selecting their item. So I'll do space in parentheses. I want to put a $! So that they can see that this is a dollar amount, and then add another $! For the variable. So this is attached to the variable, and then do I.price. And this is not supposed to be item, it's supposed to be I. It's this I. So I.title, I.price, and then the value will be the I.title. At the very end, after we map through this will be a new array. Then we just want to do slice 0 to 25 because Discord only allows us to do 25 options for the autocomplete at most. And then we'll say await interaction dot respond, and we'll just respond with these choices. So you are about to see what this does. So let's just start up our bot. Let's deploy the commands with our new shop.js command. So we'll say node deploy commands. Okay, and then we'll start up the bot. Let's go to Discord. Got the bot online. So now let's, by the way, I have seen people say that sometimes the commands are not in here after you do node deploy command. So you can hit Command R or Control R on desktop, and that will just reload Discord for you, and then your command should be there. So let's see, test meowbot. We should have shop. And so look at this. You can see that it's showing me the options that I have already in this autocomplete section. So this is an autocomplete. This is not even having the options. It's usually there's a way to do set options in Discord commands, but this is actually just autocomplete. And then as you can see, if I type, so if I type an L, nothing's going to match. There's nothing there. And if I try to submit this, it will work, but we have to add error handling of if they even selected a valid item. But let's go back, shop items. So the options pop up here and they can select cake or cactus. So I can type cake and cake will be there. I can type ice. Ice will not come up. I can type in C, both of them will come up because that does match. I can type CA, both of them will match, but as soon as I type CAC, then only cactus will pop up. So this is options matching this substring that we're typing here. Then we hit cactus, and then that will be, we can add logic for if they purchased a valid item or not. But that's how we're going to do the options, and that's how it's dynamically adding. So if we do the shop create command that we did from the last video, let's create a new one called ice. Okay, let's create ice, and we'll create a price for ice. We'll charge 5 coins, and that's it. So it's going to say new item created, ice for 5 coins, right? So we now have a new ice. So now if we do /shop, you'll see it's added to this list. Ice is now there. And then let's do a manage shop items, and we'll toggle ice. So let's toggle ice. Item ice has been deactivated. So then if we do /shop, you'll see ice is no longer there. We have now removed it from the shop because it's only showing active items. So we'll work with this. Now we got the selection of items working. It's kind of like their menu. If they just do /shop, they can see the menu of items, right? So let's go back to the code and let's go back to the shop command. That's it for the autocomplete. Now what we can do is let's just create a try and catch here, just so we can catch our errors. Return await interaction dot edit reply content. If there is an error, we'll just return error.message, and we'll make this ephemeral equal true. So we'll make this a hidden message if there is an error. Okay, so let's do the logic of if there isn't an error, and we will throw errors if we need to. So first things first, let's get the item title. So we'll say const item title equals interaction dot options dot get string, and we'll say the name of the string option, which is item. So it has to match whatever name you have here. Then we want to validate that this is a real item. So validate item. If it's not an item, then we got to throw an error. We then want to validate user has enough coins for the item. So that's pretty important. They need to be able to afford the item. Then if both those checks are true, then what we can do is we can purchase the item. So purchase item for user, which will then add that item to their inventory, and then return message, return success message. So those are kind of like the 4 steps that I think about when doing this command. So let's first validate the item. So if you remember, we do have the shop helper function, and we have this function called get shop item. So this will throw an error already if the item is not found. So all we got to do is we got to say get shop item, and we can throw in the item title, and then that's really it. This will validate the item. If this fails, this will throw an error, our error will be caught, and it will send an interaction here. So that's done. Easy peasy. So now we have to validate if the user has enough coins. And we know if the user has enough coins is we can check the item. Let's go to the models for shop item. We have the price on the item. So we can check if the item.price is less than the user data balance. Okay, so let's check. So I'll say if user data dot balance, if this is less than the item.price, then what we can do is we can just throw a new error. So throw error, and what we'll just say is you do not have enough coins. Okay. So then we validate if the user has enough coins for the item. Simple, we're done with that now. Now let's purchase the item for the user. So how are we going to do that? We got to manage the user's inventory. So this is going to be a new thing that we're going to have to add to the user table. So the user schema, right now we have user ID, server ID, command count, and balance. We're going to add a new property, and we're going to call this their inventory. And their inventory, this will actually just be an array. So this is going to be an array of objects. In each object, we're going to have a shop item. So this is going to be the item that they purchased. It's going to be a type of mongoose.schema.types.object ID, and then the ref is going to be shop item. So this is going to be the name of the other schema. The name of the other schema, and that's coming from here. So we call this shop item. So this has to match whatever the other schema is called. And then we also want to have a quantity because users could have multiple of one item, right? They can buy 5 cookies. So we want to make sure we're tracking that they have 5 cookies. So this will just be a number. So we'll just say type number. And we'll default this to 1. So if they first buy it, it will start out as 1. And then from there, we'll have to make sure that we add the logic so it increments the quantity. So that's it for the definition on the user. We now are tracking the inventory on the user. So now let's go over to our shop helper function, and we'll create a new command or a new function right below get all shop items. And this will be for purchasing an item. So we'll say async function, and we'll just say purchase shop item, right? Purchase shop item. We'll take in an item. You could take in a title here and query for the item, but since we're already here and we already checked it, we'll just pass this item directly into this function. So I'll pass the item in. We will also take a user ID and we'll take a server ID. So we want to know what user we want to add this to their inventory in, and remember that this is a multi-server economy bot. So we also have to know what server are we adding it into, because this user could be in multiple servers using our same database. So let's get the user. So we'll say const user equals, and we already have, see, this is why it's so great to have helper functions, is we already have a function for getting the user. And I called it, let's do an await. It says get or create user. So this will get the user if they exist. If not, it'll create it. By this point, they should always exist, so that's not a problem. So we'll say const user equals await get or create user. If this doesn't auto import for you, it's coming from user help. So you have to add this line, get or create user from user helper functions. Okay, so now we have the user. So now what we need to do is we want to be able to check if the user already owns this item. And if you go back to the user table, we're storing the shop item as an object ID. But MongoDB has this thing called populating, which allows us to turn this into the actual shop item object, which will give us access to, the quantity, price, and the title of each item instead of just the object ID. So the way we have to do that, we just have to call this function, and we'll say await user.populate. And what we want to populate is we want to populate their inventory shop item. So we want to turn those IDs of shop items into the actual objects of shop items. And that's all we'll have to do. So now that it's populated, we'll be able to check against each shop item title, and we'll see if they actually have the item that we're looking for. So we'll say const existing item equals user.inventory.find. So for every item in the user's inventory, we're going to want to check if the i.shop_item.title is equal to the item.title, so the item that we're passing in. If these match, then that means it's in the inventory already. So what we can do is if existing item, so if we found the item, then do some logic, else create the new item in their inventory. So if we do find it, then all we got to do is do existing item.quantity plus equals 1, right? We're just incrementing their quantity for the existing item. If they had a cookie and they bought another cookie, we now want to have 2 cookies, right? If it doesn't exist and they never had a cookie to begin with, then we need to create that new item in their inventory. So we'll say user.inventory.push, because remember this is just an array. So push shop item, and we'll equal this to item._ID. So this is the MongoDB ID of the item. And we'll set quantity equal to 1, which that already does it by default, but just to be explicit here, we'll set quantity to be 1. Afterwards, all we have to do is save the user's changes, so save user, and that's it. Now we have the purchase shop item command. Let's export this from this file so that we can call it in our command here. So we'll say await, and we will import it, add this to here, purchase shop item, add it to the import from shop helper, and then we'll just want to call this here, so await purchase shop item. And then what do we have to pass in? So we have to pass in the parameters that we created. So first is going to be the item that we queried for up here. Then we're going to want to do user data dot user ID, and we're going to do user data dot server ID. So this is coming from user data that we queried. So we're telling what user and what server we want to purchase this item for. And if there's no errors here and nothing gets caught along the way, then that would mean it was successful. So we could just say return await interaction.edit reply, and we can just make the content something like purchase. You can hopefully customize this any way you want. Purchased item.title, and added to your inventory. So we can say purchased item.title and add to your inventory. Yep, that's it. And then that's basically, yeah, that's it. That's a whole command. So let's test it out real quick. And let's see if I'll deploy commands just in case. Let's see if it's working. So we'll do /shop. So let's try to buy an item that doesn't exist. So let's try to buy pop. It says thinking for a little too long. Let's see what it says. It says shop item not found. Through the error, maybe I was supposed to await this. But shop item not found. So the fix there was when we do line 21, you want to do await here. So await get shop item. So that's the trick to there. So yeah, that seems to be working. So it won't let me buy an invalid item. So invalid will let me buy it will say shop item not found, which is exactly what we want. It's not sending it as ephemeral though, which I think I made this mistake before. You have to say ephemeral here. So that's okay. We'll just not make it ephemeral for now. You can make it ephemeral if you want by saying defer reply ephemeral true if you want it to always be ephemeral. It's okay if it's not ephemeral, honestly. It will just say shop item not found, and it will say the shop item that they looked for. Okay, So you saw that it did work for cake, so cake was purchased, and the thing is there's no way for us to tell if we actually did purchase cake, right? Because we have no way to check our inventory. So this leads us to another problem of trying to find the inventory. Let's just real quick check our balance. So our balance is $238, and none of our items are really that expensive. So let's just create a new item. So create a new item called pop. And the price will be 500 coins. Okay, so I created a new one. Let's try to buy pop for 500. It says you do not have enough coins. Okay, that's working. That's tested and working. Okay, now I think one other issue right now is that if we call get shop item, this is not only looking for active items. So what we can do so that we don't mess up every other place we're using this, we can add a flag called active only, and we'll just set this to false for now. But when we call this here, we want active only to be true. So we'll pass in true, and then await find one, let shop item, and we can say if active only. If active only, then query for this with a filter where active is true. Otherwise, we'll just have the line that we had before where we not care about active, and it'll just be find one, right? So then let's just create shop item equal to these. So that's a little quick way to do that would be we can add this active only flag. We default it to false because right now that's not what we are doing, and we don't want to mess up all the other places we're using it. But if we pass the true flag in here, active only would be true, and it'll only look for active items. So let's restart the bot and see if this is working. Node start. Let's try to shop for, I believe it was ice. So ice was deactivated. So let's check that. Shop item not found. Perfect. So that is working. That threw the error because it was not found. And then let's do another shop. Let's just make sure cake is working. So let's buy another cake, and it worked. Okay, cake is working. So now we need a way to check our inventory. Now that is looking all good and dandy. So let's just real fast do a quick inventory command. It won't be too bad. So go into the economy subfolder for commands, and I'll just call it inventory.js. And this will be just a quick command. So const/command builder equals require. We'll get this from discord.js. We'll say module.exports equals data new/command builder. We'll set the name for this, so set name to inventory, and then we'll say set description shows your inventory, and then we will say async execute. We'll take in the interaction, and we'll take in the user data. Okay, so then that's the base skeleton of our command. Then what we're going to want to do is just get all the items. So we're going to first have to do await user data dot populate. We're going to do the same populate again. We're going to populate their inventory shop item. All their items. Then we're going to say const items, and we're going to make a string of all the items that we want to display. So we'll say user data dot inventory. So all the users inventory. We're going to map over that. And let's break this down. We'll take each item, which we can just call I, and we're going to return the string. I'll put the quantity first in parentheses. So quantity, item.quantity. So this is how much of the item that the user has. So I.quantity. And then after the parentheses, I'm going to put the item's name. So I.title or I.shop item.title. So the shop item title and the quantity of their item. We're then going to join all these with a new line. And so then this is going to be multiple lines. Each line will be the item and the quantity of the user's inventory. Let's get the username of the user. So we'll say const username equals interaction.member.nickname. So if they have a nickname set, then we'll show that. If they don't have a nickname set, then let's take the interaction.user.global name. And then if for some reason they don't have a interaction.user.global name, for example, like bots, although bots shouldn't be using this command, but if bot does, they won't have that. So then we'll say interaction.user.username. And that's just a fail-safe to get their username in a safe way. Then let's create a simple embed. So you guys can put more time into this, but I'm just going to do a simple embed. I'll make the title the username '*s inventory. So this is their inventory, and then the description. The description will just be all the items that we just created, that we added it to a string. So description is the items. And then let's just send this embed. So await interaction.reply, and we'll show embeds and show them that embed. Okay, now let's deploy the commands. That's it. We'll node deploy commands. Everything looks good. Let's start that up. Go to Discord /inventory. Oh yeah, don't forget to refresh if you have to. /inventory. And we have 2 cakes. So you see it shows the quantity. You guys can obviously decorate this, add color, do all that. But this says 2 of cake. So let's buy an item. So shop item, let's buy a cactus. And we purchased a cactus. Now if we do /inventory, should show. There we go. So that's how you create the items. So yeah, that shows their inventory. So there's one small thing we need to update real quick, and this will be easy because we have commands already built for this. But if you guys notice, check my balance, right? So I'll check my balance. I have 238. Let me shop for a cactus, another cactus. That should be 20. But if I check my balance again, I still have 238. That's because we need to deduct our balance when we shop for the item. So let's go into the purchase shop item command. After this part where we add it, let's just do let's just do decrement. I think we have a command for this. Let's check db user helper decrease balance. There it is. So let's just do decrease balance. Let's import this from user helper. So it comes right here, just like get or create user, decrease balance. So we're going to await this, decrease the balance, and this takes a user ID, so we'll just pass user ID, takes a server ID, we'll just pass server ID, and the amount will be the item dot balance. Or no, item dot price, I believe. So that'll be the shop item price. So that deducts the balance. Now let's see if it's deducting properly. So we have 238. Let's just check one more time. Balance is 238. Shop for an item. Let's buy a cactus. That's 20 coins. Let's check our balance. That's right. So yeah, that's now working. So now if we buy anything we want, let's buy another cactus. Then now this should put us below 200, 198. Then let's check our inventory, see if inventory is still updating. And there we go. We have 4 cactuses and 2 cake. So that's an inventory management system in your Discord bot, which is fully customizable from the Discord interface. As an admin, you can add commands, edit the commands. You can make them active and inactive from the Discord interface. This will automatically update the autocomplete options that the users have when they buy the when they buy the items. And now your users can actually see their inventory from an embed all within Discord. So this is a fully integrated inventory system. Don't forget, guys, if you have any trouble with any of this code or you want to see the source code, you can get it at evenmorecode.com on my website. If you guys have any questions about this code, go to the community Discord and you can always ask questions there, or you can drop a question in the comments of this video. And let me know what you guys want to see next. So I have seen some of you guys request new videos from me, but let me know what you actually want to see. What do you want to implement? Where should we take this economy bot? Any ideas that you guys have? Any games that you want to see implemented? Let me know and I'll work on that. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this inventory system. See you guys. Peace.